Hello Stampers, this is Sheila from Stamping Wishes and welcome to my studio. Today is our Glitter Queen blog hop and I'm really excited about it. Our theme this month was Shake It Up. So what that was is for us to design, whether it be a card or a 3D, anything that has a shaker built into it. So I decided I needed some boxes for a project that I have coming up next month. And so I designed the box and then I put a shaker into the top of it. But after I got done with it, I thought, well, you know, this was too busy in there. I should have kept a white background or a different, you know, maybe even a light blue for the sky or whatever, and then show the leaves coming down. So then I decided to change my theme. And this one that we're going to make today is Over the Moon. Love this set. It is just so cute. And so anyway, we're going to use this and I'll go through our measurements and our products as I go. And then for details of that, please go over to my blog, stampingwishes.com, so that you get all your measurements and products. And if you're looking to purchase anything and would like to purchase from me, I'd love to have you as a customer. Again, I mentioned that this is the Glitter Queen blog hop, so also be sure and go back to, if you're at YouTube, and go to my blog so that you can click on to the other 8 ladies that are also blogging and see what projects they coming up with, because I know they're going to be fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. To save a little bit of time, because we're doing box colors and quite a bit of different things, I've done some of this stuff in advance, like the scoring. So here on this side here, and as I mentioned, this will all be, details of this will be on my blog, I'm scoring at 1.5, 1 3/4, 7 inches, and 8 1/4. And then I turn it around and I score it at 1 1/8 and 5 3/8. Then I turn it around this way, scored at 1 1/8 and 5 3/8, and this gives me the shape of my box. Now what I want to be able to do is, because this is a long area to have to cut, I'm going to line it up to my 1/2 inch right here. Get this, make sure I've got this in the frame, and then I'm just going to come up here once I know that I've got my 1/2 inch straight here and lined up nicely. Then I'm going to go up, and it's right at that 7 inches where the score line is showing at this peak here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that. And then I'm going to move it over here to the 1/2 inch as well. Get it all lined up and drop this down and come back to my 7 inch and come on down. Okay, and so now we'll go ahead and the rest of the cutting will be done with our scissors. So let's get our scissors out and start cutting. All right, we're going to be cutting this up to our 2nd score line. We're going to cut this one up to our 2nd score line. Or it would be the 2nd if that piece was on there. And then I'm going to come over here because I want to take off about 1/8 of an inch of this center tab here, and then come on up here and cut up to my 2nd score line. And then I'm going to wedge it out. Okay, and while I'm on this side, I might as well just go ahead and do this one up to the 2nd one. And then again, we're going to be cutting this one up about 1/4 of an inch as well. And if it's not exactly 1/4 inch, it's not going to hurt. You just need a little bit of it off. And again, I'm going to go ahead and wedge this piece and wedge this other side. Okay, let's turn it around and do the same thing to the other area as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come up to our 2nd here. Take off about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and come up here and then wedge it out. I love doing boxes and stuff, and when I got the gifts that I did, I thought, what am I going to put it in? Because I didn't want to put it in the box that they came in, because then it wouldn't be as personable as it would be if I were to actually make the box. So I played around with it probably a couple hours, I hate to admit, this morning, I'd be off an 1/8 of an inch here or there, and finally got my dimensions right, and then it came together real easily. So okay, so we've got all of our cutting done, except for it looks like we still need to come over here. So let me trim this up to that score line. Okay, so this is the top of our box here, and we want to varnish the edges. We want to make sure that we get a good varnish, because this is a thick cardstock, and otherwise it won't fit into a box shape and square off real nicely if we don't. So let's make sure we do that. Come this way. And this portion we're working on here, this is the bottom of the box. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I had my class this past Friday, and we had a project that was a 3D, and we used all my scoring tape that was left. So I'm having to use counterband scoring tape to do this project. So I would normally only be using the Stampin' Up, and it is a very good one. And luckily I had some of this from my scrapbooking days when I was building scrapbooks to be able to do this project. And I just put that on because that's got to go in here. So let's see if I can peel that off. That's what I get for talking sometimes too much when I'm still focusing. Nice. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, we need that on the outsides of these. Okay. On this side. So for our demonstrators, by the time this film comes out, we should have had our first order placed for our, I did it again. I'm gonna have to quit talking. But anyway, we get to place our first order on August the 1st, and we've seen it online, our new catalog, and oh my gosh, they've got so many cute things. So be sure and start saving your peonies, because you're going to need them. And maybe I should say saving your dollars, because you're going to need them. All right, so let's go ahead, and I like to run over my score tape after I put it on. It helps, because you saw how I was able to get that off. I hadn't pressed it down yet, but when you're ready to press it down, then you want that second layer to stay there. So you definitely want to be able to keep that on your base there. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting this together. And what I want to do is make sure that I have this squared real well here. Okay, and that will be on both sides. And I find it easier if when I'm putting them together, to try and keep them flat on the base here, so that I get my pieces where they need to go. Like this one, I got a little bit off on. And the more squared your corners are, the better your box is going to overall lay. Okay, so let's bring this back up here. It's a little bit hard when you're working with black because it's hard to see some of what you're doing. Okay, so let's bring this up and square it off, close it up. Same thing on this side here. Got it. So now we're just going to bring this little lip over. I left that lip purposely into my design because I thought it would be a good way for us to be able to support the ridge of the box a little bit sturdier. Even though we're using a thicker cardstock, I thought that would be a good idea to do that. So that's why I left it like that. Okay, so our top is going to come over on top like this. And so these pieces are going to go right up underneath there, and then our box will be formed. So all we need to do is, let's go ahead and bring that back, put our tear and tape on this area here. And then our box will be built and we'll be ready to start designing it, which really is always the most fun to do. And I have an idea in my head for this one, so I'm real excited about doing it. Okay, bring that right there. And bring that right there. And there's our box. And I can't put the item in it, that's because in case somebody happens to be watching my film that the project is for, I definitely don't want them to see what's inside of it. Okay, so let's set this off to the side for a second. We're going to go ahead and let's get our stamping and coloring done. So I'm going to bring in my pieces. Now what I did was to take some of the what is it called? I always say it wrong. Sparkling glimmer paper. I want to call it shimmery glimmer paper, but it's sparkling. And I used our, let me find them here, our stitched framelits and stitched shape framelits. Say that too fast. And what I did was to take the two here, and I first did my oval, which was the largest one here, and I cut it out. And then I came back and put my square, the largest square that I would be using on it, and placed it right over there and cut it out, and did the same thing on this side here. Now the reason I've done it this particular way is that I found that in the past when I've worked with glimmer paper, I love it and everything, but I find that adhesives don't always work real well with it. So I thought by cutting out the outside frame, then when I bring in my frame that's going to go over the pictures like so, then I knew that I would have the top of the box that I'd be adhering to, so I wouldn't be doing any over the top area. Now the one thing that I do have to do is I'm going to have to trim, because this piece is going to go over here, and I need to be able to trim these corners here for each side of that to fit in, is what I figured. So I've got my pencil here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is fitting in the way it flush, the way it should. Okay, and then we're going to trim it here and trim it right in that area there. So I've marked my little lines for it. You want to make sure that because each one is going to fit a little differently, so you don't want to get those mixed up once you've cut them, okay? So I'm having to do this in the light so I can see it real well. Send off a high. Okay, so when all this comes together, our little puzzle here, and then our oval piece comes over it, right here, then all of this, see if I've got it fitting right. Looks like this might need to be trimmed just a little bit more right here. Okay, so all of this will go together here, and this will go on top when we get to that point. So for right now, once this all fits into the deal, for right now we're going to set this aside and come back to it in a little bit. Okay, let's take all of our pieces here. So next we're going to be doing our coloring of our cows and stamping of them. So what I've done is go ahead and pre-cut the sizes that are going to fit into the template that I've already made for it. So let's do our cow that is going to be in the center oval first. Now, I just realized I don't have my glasses in here. Okay, let me go get them. Sorry about that, I'm back now. And let's go ahead and make sure that this has enough ink on it. And then we're going to stamp this one here. And then we'll color it. Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to be doing the mirror effect on the cow because I want them, or on the steer I should say, because I want them facing each other for what I have in mind for this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stamp it up using the one side facing this way. Let's move it as far over as we can because I want to make sure we get that flower in there. Okay, nice. All right, let me wipe off. I got off. Should have my little scrap ink pad here. So what I'm going to do, I brought out my silicone mat, and I'm going to ink the stamp up real good, and I'm going to stamp onto it. And make sure you have cleaned your silicone mat before you do this, because if you have glue and stuff like that, it's going to interfere, or if you have other colors on it, that color is going to come through as well. So I'm stamping it here, and hopefully you're seeing this, and I'm not out of the range of the filming. And then I'm going to flip it over and try and see through for the same distance we had on the other side. And then you want to press it like you're pressing an ink block to let that ink transfer now over onto the paper. Let's see how it came out. Looks like the same stamp, doesn't it? Isn't that nice? Okay, so always remember that. I use silicone mats. I have 2 or 3 of them laying around because I use them for so many different things, whether I'm adhering items that I don't want the glue to get in other areas, I'll do that. In fact, we probably will use it because I'm going to use part of this by using the Snell adhesive. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll probably speed up through here, but these are the colors that I picked out to color with. while I've got the ink out, let me go ahead and clean this off. But I want to also stamp this little saying, because I think that I'd like to put it between the two square, but I want to go ahead and put that on. It says "Over the Moon for You." Okay, so let's line this up here. Well, let's line it up here so I know you're being able to see it. Okay, and then let's right, and we can straighten that out a little. It's a little crooked, but we can straighten it out when I go to trim it to put it on the piece if we use it. Okay, so again, I'm using the two of the dark and the light Mango Melody. I'm using the Granny Apple Green. I'm using the Cherry Cobblers, and then I'm using the two black shades. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the cows, and I'll do this cow, and I'm going to use the light for its hoofs. That way the lines that are underneath it, which is denoting the hoof area, will be able to show through. Okay, and then everything else we'll do with the dark black. So let's go ahead and bring that out, and we'll do its hair. And now I'm going to go quiet as you watch, and I'll speed this up. And then we'll start assembling it, and we'll be done with the decorating in the box. So if you're watching this from YouTube and you like what you see and you'd like to subscribe, be sure and hit the subscribe button so you'll not miss any of the future videos. And also be sure and hit that little bell so that you'll get the reminders when they're there. And also, if you like the video, I'd appreciate the thumbs up, and any kind of comments you'd like to make. I appreciate comments, so be sure and do that as well. So let's go ahead and pull this over and bring all of our pieces back here so that we make sure we get everything fitting the way it's supposed to. Okay, got the oval. Looks like I got everything. So now we're going to put this on, and I do believe that I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Snell adhesive, or the tear and tape, and then some of the Snell adhesive with it. But I want to make sure the edges stay tacked down. And since I don't have my regular tear and tape, I'll just be using what I do have here. And hopefully my order will be in next week and replace what I'm out of. Okay, so we're going to just come along the edges of this framework here, and then I'll bring my adhesive, our silicone sheet back in, and I'm going to be using Snell adhesive for the areas that the tear and tape isn't reaching. Okay. So here we go. Might as well put a little strip down here to help hold that down as well. Okay, here's the silicone sheet, and let's go ahead and bring in some of my Snell adhesive. I think I've got enough in that one. It looks like I lifted a layer that didn't come away from the tape itself. So I hope you're enjoying the blog hop. We look forward to them every month, and they're a lot of fun to follow and see what everybody's doing out there. And there's some really cute and creative ideas. Okay, so let's put some of the Snell around the edges here that we want to make sure that those stay tacked down as well. And this is why I use the Snell adhesive on an adhesive sheet when it's wider than it, because then the adhesive remains on there and it cleans up real nicely, so you don't have to worry about it staying on your sheet. Okay, so we're gonna have to carefully put this down, because once it's down, it will be down. Let's do this without. Okay, we may have just a little bit more of a gap up there, but that's okay. It looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and, oh, I put it upside down. Right, that's, I guess, okay. I wanted my cow down there, but it's stuck, I'm afraid. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this. Well, maybe. Okay. There's you another little tidbit hint. Make sure you check your box before you tack it down that it is in the right direction for the lid to come up. So let's turn this around now. Bring this on in. There we go. Okay, now that's much better. All right, let's get us some adhesive on this here. And we'll want to bring it in because we're going to have the frame that's going to go above it. But before we put that one down, we probably need to make sure that we've cut everything off that we should have on this one. So let's bring the frame in. And this is what I was talking about, being able to go into the adhesive area and not onto the glimmer paper, because it doesn't stick real well when you go straight on there. A lot of times when I use glimmer paper, I have a spot that I can punch a hole through with our small punches, and then I'm able to put like a dimensional back there, something that will adhere it to the project that I'm working on, and that always seems to work out much better. All right. I'll get some little glue erasers after a while and get some of that glue off that's gotten there. And let's go ahead and put this one over here. Okay, and where's our other little, and that's something I didn't take into consideration, is what would show here, but let me see. Yeah, this will cover it. Great. Yep, this will work. Or will it? Let me think through this, because once this goes on, it's going to be up and above. This will be down. Yes, it will work. Okay, so then let's go ahead and find what I did with my other cow there. Or I guess you'd call it a steer, since I think it's a boy cow. You can tell I didn't grow up on a farm, the way I call these farm animals. Okay, so let's go ahead and make sure we've got a good adhesive here. So we'll be coming around. That looks all right. Let's see before I push down too much, because this is going to come up like so. Or we can come down like so. I think come down. Yeah, I think we'll come down. Next time when I do this, I'll have to watch. I don't think it looks bad, but there's a little spot there that this didn't come all the way down, but that's all right. All right, so let's go ahead and now adhere this is our window sheet that I've already pre-cut, and I pre-cut it the same side as the outside here. And so we want to go around and adhere the window sheet to this portion of our project. So let's do it this way. And let me bring my adhesive eraser and get that off of there. For it. I want to get it onto my window sheet. Let's see if it's going to work. It's looking a little filmy there. I'll work on that a little bit later, but it looks like it'll roll right off, so that's not a problem. All right, so now we want to build up our shaker box, and I've got the strip adhesives over here, and it's going to take our strip adhesive strips, and it'll take one complete strip of it. So I'm going to go ahead and start over here and try and get it kind of in the center. And make sure you try and get this down as flat as you can around this curve, because if you leave any of the adhesive that's on the bottom facing up, then your little shaker pieces can get stuck up underneath them, and they'll get caught and just sit up there. So we don't want that to happen if we can keep from it. So let's go ahead and cut off this little piece here. I'm going to do one of these designs like this, but I'm going to use the little Waldress with the little pond and stuff, and see if I can't fix something up that'll you can shake the snow in. So I think that would be real cute. So I'll be trying that one here before long. Okay, so I didn't get my new sequins in, so I am going to have to use my box of some of the older sequences. So hopefully those two will be in on my next order. But I thought this would, I like having a little heart to shake in there. And I had some leftover red glimmer paper from when we carried it before, so I went ahead and used some of those. And I'm just going to pinch out some of these and just scatter them around in there. And I'm trying to pick up as many of the kind of the black and the gold and stuff. The whites don't show up quite as much, and I think that's a good amount there. And so we will now remove our tape from here and set this down on. So I'm going to have to bring it a little bit further this way so I can make sure that I'm getting this where it needs to go and get a good tight fit. Nope, that's what I was afraid of here. It's gonna I think this will probably work for the most part. I'll have to remember that again when you make one for the first time. You'll find some of the areas that you did, but there we go. We got our little shaker going on here and our little cows going on. And I just think she's precious. And there's her two little boyfriends up there. So until next time, enjoy the Glitter Queens Blog Hop. God bless you and happy stamping.